What's up, guys? Welcome to the Running Long podcast. Moy and Max, thanks for being here.
Hey Fran, thank you for having us. The champion of canyons and the champion of Poison Oak. How are the legs doing?
Not good. Definitely not good. Next
Oh
question,
man.
please. Oh my
Well,
gosh,
you're the
they
first.
don't tell you before the race, you know? Like they say, hey, come run canyons. It's awesome. Great trails, fast trails, and Auburn is great. Yeah,
All of that is
until
true.
a couple of days after the race, and then you probably regret the decision.
All of those things are true, but then you have to deal with the Poison Oak, which is clearly
It
a
is
challenge.
hard.
Um, yeah.
Maybe
But
the
thank you for
Americans are
having
more
us.
used to
Excited to
it.
see you. No, no, they're all suffering.
We're all
Yeah.
suffering, but here in Europe, they don't know how to treat it. So it's, I don't know. They're just treating
Yeah.
like a dermatitis, I guess. And it's hard to explain the doctor what I actually have.
Yeah.
But whatever,
That's true.
we'll get
That's true,
through.
man. Well, it's good to see you. Thank you for having us. I've seen Max every day, but I'm very happy to see you and chat with you too. So thank you for having us.
Of
Hola,
course.
Max.
Ciao, yeah. Plus one to that. Thanks for having us, Fran. Always good to chat and talk about stuff. So, yeah, I was hearing the Poison Oak stories before we started recording. Doesn't sound very appealing to be running canyons now, especially after you shown the pictures of your legs.
Right.
Oh, no, it's crazy, man. Awesome. So we have a lot of stuff to chat about today. So yeah, I'm excited to get it out, to get started. Let you direct the conversation, Fran.
Yeah, kind of a different episode today. We are talking about Vert, the company, how it's growing, what we're doing within the ecosystem of training and coaching apps. The market has been evolving a lot. We're seeing big moves from big companies happening pretty much on a monthly basis. So we kind of wanted to update everyone on what's happening with Vert, how we see this space, and what we're planning to do in the near future, I guess. Is that a good introduction?
That's a great intro, man. And things are changing everywhere, which is pretty cool. Um, and I think that Max always has a great view of the landscape and like how things are moving. Max is like, I guess both, but like Max always have a good insight. So maybe we would like to hear what Max have to say about like the landscape and how our training app, coaching apps, um, you know, doing and moving and innovating right now. Max, do you have anything like?
Um, yeah, I think maybe even taking a step back before going deeper into that, I think in general running, it's just been going wild this past, I don't know, last year maybe, or even maybe the last 6 months. Of course, trail and ultra being part of it, but it just feels like there's just like a ton of people running out there, either on roads, track, and on the trails, of course. Anywhere from the Grand Slam in track and field to like Cocorona 250, it feels like just like running. It's so trendy at the moment. So of course, which is always great, right? We want to see more people running, especially if people is having fun and they are doing what they want. I think that's great. And then I think it's only natural that we are seeing just a bunch of new things happening within the space, like from brands, right, and everything that is related to shoes and gear, but of course also like technology and basically what other apps and like big players, like for example Strava, has been like tapping into lately. So I think again, linking that with the fact that running, it's just like maybe booming somehow, which of course is always like something to debate, right? It's not like I don't feel like we have reached the peak or anything, but again, it just feels like it's very trendy. It's basically all over now. You go into any major marathon, there are so many stuff happening, right? I'm sure that this year UTMB Western States will be crazy for us in the sport too. So I think again, it's great seeing so many things happening, and at the same time, it's crazy now that with Vert we have been at it for what I believe is 5 years now, or maybe about to be 5 years, I guess. So of course we are always very exciting to be, I guess, contributing from, I guess, outside, right, our side, just like to make the sport continues to be more accessible and just like continue to provide what we aim to provide for new people, but also people who has been at it for a while and just want to do better. So I think that's just for context, right? But again, I think more recently we have seen how Strava acquired Runa, which has been a massive player in the space, especially on the road running side of things, getting bigger and bigger. Not only from again the tech side of things, but also just like having a presence on the ground, like on events, right? Being in New York Marathon and other stuff. But there's also other apps out there, right? And I think this is just maybe the beginning, right, of this new way of things, especially, of course, linking it with the AI search, right? And basically how things are moving into that direction, right? So I think we are just, again, at the verge of maybe a lot of changes happening within the industry for the next couple of years.
Nice, nice. Right. I think okay, so this is cool. So basically, like a bunch of years ago, I guess in the early 2000s, I don't know if you remember from, but the boom of tracking apps happened. We had like Strava, Runtastic, Map by Run, and a few others, and they were like all of these tracking apps because it was when like the GPS on the phone became a thing. So all of these apps, like the main innovation is like they could like track you and you can record your activities. And then a lot of those apps got acquired by different brands. The only one who didn't sold actually is Strava. Um, and I think now in the last 3 years we have seen how this a similar boom is happening on coaching apps. So tracking is just like it's like we take it for granted because it's just part of it. We have a GPS watch, or we have an Apple Watch, or we have a phone, and it's very easy to track. And then the next frontier has been training and coaching and how to guide athletes to achieve their goals. So that's pretty cool because we are part of this movement, and we started a little bit early. The difference is that we are focused in one vertical of running, which is trail running, which I will say is the hardest problem to solve because there's many more variables. But there is a nice and it's cool boom of coaching apps. That's pretty cool. We have apps from the UK, from the US, other countries in Europe, France, and now we have this like kind of pivotal point where a lot of these apps like are growing and people is using them more, but also they're partnering with brands. We have, as Max say, like a big acquisition of like one of the biggest player, which is a great app, Runa, that they got acquired by Strava, meaning that Strava wants to get into training, which is pretty cool, and is a little bit disruptive for the space. And the question is like, oh, okay, so like, where is Vert falls here, and what are we going to do with our app, and with our service and with what we offer? So that's some of the things that we want to address here. So we have been building Vert for a bunch of time now, and we have been evolving over time. But now we're in this pivotal moment where basically Vert, the service that we offer, is going to change. But more than that, like trail running coaching is going to change, and it's going to really evolve in a direction where like I don't think it has evolved in the past. We take a lot of pride on saying that we are the first and only ones that have innovated in trail running because nobody really looked into trail running as a main focus. So yeah, like I don't know, Runa is a road running app, and then we have other apps that are like even the new partner of the UTMB World Series. What's the name? A French app for running. Is a running app that has some plans for trail running, which is cool, and their plans are fine. But nobody has really say like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna focus and make trail running my space. besides us. And we did it like that from the beginning because we're trail runners, because we love the sport, and we have seen the community grow and evolve for many years. So we're like solely, like mainly focused into running, and that's what makes us different. And now we're taking this leap in innovation, which is going to transform um, basically how people train for the mountains, dude. So that's exciting.
Also, does anyone have like humans, coaches behind the app interface besides Vert? I'm not sure.
No, and that's a perfect
Because for
segue
us,
to
like
get into
the app is just an interface between the coach and the user,
Mm.
but it's actually a coaching app with real people, humans behind, adjusting training, answering messages, basically building the training plans every day. And I don't think that's common because it's more like, automated processes and pre-built training plans that
Mm.
are adjusted based on parameters that people input in these apps. And of course, it's different than the service that we offer.
Yeah, and yes, no, nobody does, and which makes sense, and the reason is very simple. So okay, so uh, you have we all understand the training for a marathon or a 21K or a road race is a very linear formula um, based on pacing. And the conditions are kind of like you try to always optimize for the same conditions, and then other variables like temperature or wind, like it doesn't really necessarily alter the formula of like your training. Like I don't think people is going to be adjusting their, you know, threshold pace or heart rate based on the temperature of the day. Even though a pro may do it, but for a coaching app for like a standard runner or more of a, like a recreational runner, it doesn't necessarily apply. The thing is that so you can offer those services automatically, and those adjustments can be done automatically, and that's how all of these apps work. So most of these apps, and which are great, they take your 5K time or your 10K time or whatever reference they have, and even Garmin does this, and then they predict your pace and they predict your time to finishing a longer event, and based on that they estimate the intensity pace of your workouts,
Yeah.
and it's very linear. It's very linear, and then if you have to make adjustments, the adjustments are simple, and a very simple algorithm can just execute those adjustments because it is a formula or multiple formulas. But the problem is that when they try to extrapolate that to train for like a 100K race, um, it just that theory goes out of the window, mainly because you can't really coach somebody for 100K, 50K, 100 miles just by knowing my 5K time, which is how, for example, Rona does it. You give them your 5K time and they craft a plan for 100K based on that. Makes no, it doesn't make sense and it's not good. But then the other main variable is how are you going to train for 100K like Canyons, 100K, which is an 8 hours race, or Black Canyon, which is a 7 hour race, versus a CCC that is a 10 hours race, or versus, a Eiger Ultra Trail, which is also a 10 or 11 hours race. So that is a key variable that you need to take into consideration, right? The trail running terrain and the elevation gain and the mountain index, which is how many meters of elevation per kilometer you have to run on the race. So that's one variable. But the other key variable is where you, as a runner, are going to be training for that race. So it is the training plan that Francesco, who lives in London, is going to have to train for Mont Blanc 90K is totally different than the training plan that Francesco, who lives in Boulder, Colorado, is going to have for Mont Blanc 90K. Because in Boulder, you're going to have access to the mountains, but in London, you're going to be having to do uphill repeats on the subway stairs, which is a true example. Like we have people doing that in the past. So it's about how you prepare for a specific race and how you prepare with your training conditions. And those like variables and those solutions, it's something that we didn't have the capacity of implement on a technical way automatically. And it's one of the reasons why we for years we have been, focused on coaching and real human coaches adapting, adjusting the training plan and updating the training plan to like fit the user's needs. Um, and this big leap that we're taking now is finding ways to make that more automatic and make that more scalable. So I don't think other apps have coaches. I don't think they need to have coaches for road running, but for trail running, the things are a little bit different because they're more complex. I don't know if I'm missing something there, but that's kind of like the core of how we started Vert, and that's why for us having human coach has been really, really important. But now we have found ways and we have learned so much through the years that we are ready to start making some of these things more automatic, using new technology and some cool stuff that we have that we're cooking.
Awesome. Max, do you want to add something?
No, I think Moy painted a really good picture of normally how those, I guess, other scenarios play out. I think also something that we have learned, and maybe this is kind of a hot take at the moment, especially as we get a lot of people coming either from the road or training from, other apps or whatnot. It's like on the trails, we have been always been pushing, train by time, right? And train by feel, which is what we call RPE, right? And I think a lot of the time people come with this perception of like, hey, I gotta be hitting, this mileage, right? Or I need to know my pace for this, and like, it takes them a while to understand that, if you're training for 100K, you don't need to be doing a 7-hour long run, for a 15-hour run, because that's just like not practical at all. This is not, taking your template for a marathon run and applying it to the ultra. There are so many different variables and so many different components that at the end will probably make that person have a really rough time within their training. So I think, again, just like from almost 5 years of been doing this, having like real human coaches working with athletes and hearing feedback from them, and also just understanding what works best, I think we have come to this point of having a lot of learning, basically, of what works and what not, even if people struggle sometimes, right, to make this transition, or like changing their minds about like, hey, it's okay to run by time, it's okay to run by feel, right? I don't need to be basically looking at my watch for every single minute of my run, right? But then again, of course, it's also a process, right? And in many ways, even though if with Vert we want to do stuff one way, there is also, of course, the necessity of hearing what other people are saying, or what others are doing, right? That's why I think finding that balance, it's always tricky, right? But I think we have come a long way of just, again, been doing this for a while, understanding how things work, and then also hearing feedback from people about how they want to do stuff too, which I think is, of course, very important, right? Because in the end, no matter how good our system is, if like people don't want to follow it, of course, that won't come to a success
Right.
for anybody. So I think it's always important to have in mind kind of those, I guess, elements, right? Like what we can do, our experience, and then, of course, what the person is like willing to do when it comes to like preparing for whatever they are training for.
Yeah. And I think one of the difficult things is to match these two sides, like our offer and what people want. I still find it not super easy. Like, I don't think enough people sometimes understand the value that coaching can provide. I see a lot of people just out there running and trying and having fun, and that's totally fine, of course. But like, especially trail running, I think has developed as this very, grassroots and free sport where people just go out and run, hike, have these adventures in the mountains. And it's only now that it's starting to be a little more serious and structured in terms of training. And I think people, like a lot of people, are catching up with this idea that coaching and training can provide a better experience if you know how to do it, basically. Like if you have a coach, if you have guidance. But especially, maybe this applied more to until a couple of years ago. I think historically, we have been not very open to, coaching and having structured training and workouts and the science of training. Now it's getting popular because like everyone is talking about it. There is much better information and articles and podcasts. The access to this type of information is so much easier. And even the pros, at the pro level, you see people doing like pushing the boundaries of science and coaching knowledge with heat training and carbohydrates intake or cooling strategies and double threshold workouts, all these fancy things that people want to learn about. And I think between these two extremes there is a balance where we can probably exist, but it's about like making people understand the value of this support and coaching that we can provide. Because there is a ton of people running. Running is cool. It has become cool. Like 10 years ago, if you were doing hill reps just here in my village, you would have probably be seen as a crazy guy. You would have probably found a secret spot hidden from the eyes of the people to do your hill workout. And now like you're out there doing the workout and people are excited and they ask you what you're doing, and it's just perceived like a cool thing to do, and that's a big difference from a while ago. And with the explosion of run clubs and communities, and running is very much a participant sport. I think there's so many ways to get involved at different levels.
Yeah, and it's also so easy, man. It's so cheap and it's so accessible, you know.
Exactly.
And
And we
this
need to
this
keep
is
it
one of the reasons.
that way.
Basically, that's the division of Vert.run. And the thing is, like, that when economy struggles, the like running has a boom, actually, because people need, of course, the mental and physical outlet to just getting out there and
They
like
don't have the money for a
exercising.
gym membership.
And yeah, it's like it's the most affordable, and that's why I started running, because I was in college and I needed to do something, and I didn't have money to do anything. So I was like, I'm gonna run. It's free, and it should stay free, right? So that's fundamental. That's what we also have free plans, because we believe that like it is important to keep some sort of a free access to it. And yeah, running is cool again. So going back to like the product and the landscape and like more of like the business side, I would like to hear from you guys right now, and we can use this to compare with the new release. So somebody, and maybe you can do it, Fran, and Max can support you. Like, what happened when somebody arrives to Vert? Like, I arrived to Vert and create an account. What happened? I mean, I know, but this is of course for the listeners. Like, how does Vert works, and yeah, like, do I get a plan? Like, what's the deal?
So the user is usually onboarded. I think they get an email from you and like some instructions to actually sign up to Vert, and then you actually put some parameters on the app, like your age, your gender, and how much you want to run, how much training experience you have, and racing experience. And then you get matched with a coach, a real coach, a human, that basically, the way I do it is just I try to get to know the person and understand their goals, their experience, how much time they can realistically put in for training. And based on that, I build a training plan that is, of course, based on a pre-made training plan that we have. Our training plans are usually made by pro athletes, so that's a really nice thing that we offer. And then we have some training plans that we created, our coaches created, to complement the offer that we have. So depending on all this information that we try to collect, we build a plan, we upload it to the profile of this athlete, and then the athlete starts training, and week by week, the athlete gives feedback to the coach, and the coach can adjust the training plan of the athlete based on energy levels, feelings, if the training load feels too much or too little, and just overall progress of the athlete. We have a few parameters that we try to check every week. They're based on simple parameters, training zones, RPE, energy levels, that if the user, if they input the right type of information every day, I think it can be extremely accurate, and the coach can have a great picture of how the athlete is actually adapting to the training, which is the heart of the training process, of course. So it's a simple thing, but I believe it can be very effective if the two sides collaborate and communicate. Communication is at the center of our coaching style. Am I missing anything, Max?
No, that's actually pretty pretty good. I think maybe the only part that I would add in is like normally everyone gets greeted either by me actually or by Steve, who is the other coach who helps me do the onboard. So it's basically everybody goes through like a phase of us literally checking their input. So definitely not super scalable at the moment, but that's literally how the process goes, right? So
yeah, exactly. Like the first message the athlete gets in the app is from you, and then I jump in and start getting to know the athlete.
It's like a white glove onboarding, by our coaches, and why the reason why we have been doing it like this is just to really ensure that we are adding the right training plan and the right training journey for every single athlete, and we are matching them with the right coach for them, because different coaches styles, different time zones has different outcomes on athletes. So
totally,
we put an effort on like this, like white glove onboarding and matching you with your coach and with your plan. So the thing is that this has been our product for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's changing this week, and it's changing next week actually. So Vert is going through a big transformation, and the new process it's pretty cool. So a few things that we have learned that when people come to Vert, we will ask them to choose a plan. And we have learned that a lot of people know their race or their goal or their next objective, but they have no idea about what is the best plan for them.
But that's why you have a coach, right?
Yeah.
So the coach can match you with a good plan that is the most appropriate for you to get ready for your goal.
So a lot of the work in the onboarding has been that plan matching. Okay, so you're going to run this 50K, or you're going to run this 100K, or you're going to, whatever it is, or you're going to run this 10K. So we know, like Max, like he in 12 seconds, he knows like what's the right plan, the right setup. And then when you get a customer friend, or an athlete, you are like, oh, we're going to adjust this. You live, in this city, so I know maybe you have coached a bunch of people from that city already, so you can even suggest routes. So that's pretty cool. But now, so we learned that like people know their goal, they know their objective, or they know what they want to work in, but they have no idea how. So the first big change that we've made is like when you arrive to Vert, we're going to ask you your next objective now, and then we're going to proceed to ask you your onboarding questions. How many days you run a week, the longest race that you have done, do you have access to trails, you have access to mountains, you only have access to flat surface for running, maybe you have access to trails on the weekends, or mountains on the weekends, how many races have you run, so we ask you a bunch of questions that allow us to craft this profile of you and understand your athletic lifestyle and also experience. and by knowing your goal and by building your profile, we are able now to automatically match you with the best plan for you. And this is a pretty cool algorithm that we are continue to work right now, because it's not fully perfect, but it's pretty good. So the version 1 is already out, and we're going to automatically match you with the right training journey for you. And the difference between training journey and training plan is key, because a training plan is a set amount of weeks. It can be 4, 6, 12, 14 weeks, for a goal or for a race. But a training journey is a combination of training plans. And this is one of the key differentiators of Vert. And one of the cool things that we are implementing now is that if you are racing in 4 weeks, we're going to assign you the right 4 weeks of training for that race based on your user input and your athletic, experience and training conditions. But if you're racing in 30 weeks, we're going to craft that training journey for a 30 weeks period, which is going to be evolving over time, and it's going to be adjusted and adapted. But we're going to be able to give you, okay, you're racing in 30 weeks and it's 100K and it's your first 100K and you run a 50K a year ago. We're going to start, with like a base building. We're going to work on a speed. We're going to work on the specifics. We're going to increase the training load. And all of that training journey is going to be a combination of multiple training plans from our libraries. And then it's going to be crafted and ready on your profile. So when you arrive to your profile, your plan is there. And that's going to be immediate and automatic. And then the customer, the athlete, is going to be able to perform training plans adjustments based on a few variables. Like, you can report that you have a busy week and you are not able to train, and we're going to limit the number of days that you're going to be able to train and only leave the key workouts. So, hey, I'm traveling and I can only run 2 times, 3 times this week instead of 5. We're going to give you the 2, or we're going to leave in your profile the 2 key or 3 key workouts that you have to do that week. And we're going to be adjusting the level of the plan and the training load, meaning the duration of the long runs, how many repeats a workout has based on your previous training information. So if your energy level is trending up, if your markers down rate is good, if your training load is good, we're going to keep the plan as it is and maybe even make it a little bit more challenging as you are evolving as an athlete during this 30 weeks period. But if it's too much, we're going to be reducing the training load and be reducing the level until we fine tune it to like your perfect balance. And this is a lot of the work that the coach currently does. And this is going to be complemented with the first ever like AI coach agent, which is is an agent. It's basically a digital coach that is going to give you the right advice to know how to approach every workout. So, if your energy level the last 3 days have been low, so meaning that you have been kind of fatigued consistently for 3 days, this coach is going to be able to tell you like, hey, maybe you should take it extra easy on today's hills repeats. Don't push it too hard. Don't force it too much. And or let's swap a workout and do it the next day instead of today, because we want to make sure that you recover. So this coach is going to be able to give you that advice and that feedback every day, so you know how to approach every workout. So this is a fully automatic version of Vert. The beautiful part of it is that this is going to be less expensive than our current training plan. It's going to start at basically under $10 a month if you buy a year of training, and a little more if you buy a monthly plan. But you have a fully crafted and fully automatic, real-time adjusted training plan for any trail race, which it doesn't exist at this price. And our coaching, which is the service that we offer right now, is going to get an upgrade. It's going to be revamped. It's going to be much better, because we're going to start with an onboarding call. So now when you hire your Vert.run coach, you're going to get started with a one-to-one 20 minutes call to meet your coach, to build that personal relationship and kick off a training that is going to be even more personalized than the one that we offer. So instead of doing this hybrid between automatic and some coaching. We're really diverging into these two areas, providing great support for those who hire a coach, and also a more affordable, scalable solution for those who need a plan for their next goal. And you can, jump in between them. So you can have your Vert plan with Vert Pro for $10 a month, and then for the last 2 months you hire your coach, and then you go back and you can like bounce back and forward. And this new coaching structure is also gonna have a price change. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive. It's gonna be around $45 a month, but you can't find anywhere a coach for $45 a month. So we're very proud of keeping a very competitive, affordable pricing while offering like very high quality products. And this is one, the technological transformation, but also like the business transformation that we're going through. And we know that it's gonna be like, it's gonna just open the doors for real good training and real good coaching for many thousands of people out there that haven't found the right solution for them yet.
That's very cool and totally pretty new to me. I mean, I knew this discussion was has been going on for a while within Vert. I haven't been part of the decision-making process. I have just, I think, given some feedback, and chatted with you a few times, and given feedback with Slack, our little conversations. But this is cool. I'm very excited. I don't know if you how do you imagine this coexistence between like the fully automated coaching process and the fully humanized coaching on the other side?
You gonna go take that one, Max?
Yeah, but maybe also just also to complement what you were saying and basically where we land with this kind of new offering too. It's like a lot of the time hearing feedback from our current athletes, it's like normally everybody who came from the normal let's say one-on-one type of coaching, which is normally in the US, definitely 150 plus, and maybe in Europe a little bit less, but definitely around 100 plus, right?
Yeah.
It's like it was pretty incredible to be having a human coach only for 25 a month, right? And that's just the truth. Like that is that is actually very incredible that you could only pay that on a monthly basis, and having you, Fran, on the other end, just taking care of an athlete, making him accountable, and then also replying to the chats, right? So,
and people totally recognize that. I think they are
definitely.
grateful for it.
Being a coach, right? You probably have heard many times, how grateful and thankful people are, for what you have been doing for them. A lot of the time too, this is like athletes who's been with us for literally a couple of years now. So it's super, incredible to hear their feedback, right? So I think for all of them, this will make a lot of sense, basically, because this is more, I guess, in line with just like the normal type of industry, but still very much affordable in compared to the rest, which will allow us to have a better service, right? On top of all of the tools that we have been delivering to just make hopefully the coaches work a little bit easier too, right? But then, of course, in the other end, linking this with what we were talking at the beginning, right? There is a lot of people out there who just is not willing to, maybe at the beginning at least, pay whatever they need to pay for having a coach, right? And it's not for us to decide, I guess, if you have to have a coach or not. I think eventually everybody kind of realize oh, maybe I am at this part of my journey that I will benefit from having someone taking care of me, but maybe I'm not there yet, or maybe I will never be there, right? So I think this other option, right, is just while we come basically after all of this year doing it, hearing feedback, and also where kind of the industry is, right? It would be, I guess, silly from us not to open this door when just
totally.
This is what a big group of people is asking for, while at the same time others are already tapping into this, right? So I think we just need to acknowledge that we have so many tools nowadays that, combined with our experience, hopefully we'll be able to deliver, this very high quality, very specific trail type of coaching that we really want to put out there for the first time. And then I guess I forget what was the other question?
How is gonna coexist like the
Oh,
two
yeah, yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
coaching, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's basically linked with what I said, right? Like, I think it's not for us to push one or the other. I think eventually people, maybe if you're new to the sport, if you want to, I guess, try it out and see, how it is to have some structure, some guiding, and some daily feedback about how you're doing. I think maybe starting with this new option would be great. But then at the same time, if you definitely want to have a human coach on the other end, you definitely want to pursue it more, I guess, quote unquote, seriously, right? And it's not like you can't be serious with the other one. It's just like, again, coaching, having a coach, it's something that it's been used for 50 plus years now. So it's like we are not
Yeah, forever.
reinventing the wheel here. This is just like what has been out there on athletic side of things and many other things for years now. So the only thing that we are doing is just like making it as affordable as we can, basically, right? Creating better and more tools for the coaches to do their job at the price that we are, and then on top of it, also just like providing this accountability thing, right? Which I think a lot of the time when we ask for feedback and people write to us about like one of the main benefits of having a coach, it's not so much about maybe the training itself, but about having that accountability of having someone who is like taking care of you, and then
That's what I
it's like
was gonna
asking you
mention.
how you're doing, right? So I think if you are really not so, I mean, of course you are, if you're already running, you'll probably be into training, right? And about like getting better, developing, right? But if you are looking for something that it's beyond that, and with that I mean, for example, connection with a human and like your coach, and also accountability, of course the option of having a coach is definitely the right one, right? But again, getting back to this other thing, like if you just want to try it out, if you want to see some structure and guide, and maybe take it from there, this other option definitely make a lot of sense, I think, for that group of people, for sure.
Yeah, agree.
And lastly too, as Moy was saying, I don't think this is like one of the other. I think you can
Hmm.
definitely do both. Like, I guess it sounds kind of a nightmare to be dealing with those changes internally, but I think it's fairly normal to see how people just like want to have more dedicated time for a very specific period of time during the year, and like for the rest they are more or less going in and out of like these phases of training. So I think everybody's different, right? And even though it's impossible to get to everybody, we are, I guess, focusing in just like two big groups, right? And basically what they want to do when it comes to training interactions, and then how do they want to develop them within the sports.
Agree. Yeah, I think this accountability factor, and like also, to be honest, the fact that if you pay for a service, you tend to commit a lot more than if you have a free service. Like if you pay for a class, you tend to go and put in the work and do your homework and whatever. If it's for free, you make excuses. You don't go. You don't do your homework. We're like that. Everyone is like that. So I guess it depends on your commitment level and expectations. But yeah, I mean, having pretty much always worked with a coach in my career, I can totally understand the value of having someone to talk to, who actually cares about you. And it's not like what I have been seeing from 4 years of coaching now, almost, is that much more than the science of training, the specifics of each session, the heel repeats or like flat repeats, flat intervals, whatever. people want someone who actually is there to support them and cares about what they're doing, cares about what their goal, their struggles, their fears, and is just there to talk with them and to confront with them in case something, like both through the good and bad times. And I think that is something that only a human can provide. So yeah, totally understand the necessity to evolve in the direction of an automated process, AI, and the type of coaching that you described. But I do think it's super, super valuable to have the other service that is more like where people actually get more human support in a better way than what we actually offer
Yeah,
right now.
totally. And that, yeah, I agree. And that's why we're trying, like, that's why we're working on a scaling and like revamping that, giving it even more human connection.
Yeah,
Um,
I think like by diversifying even more the two things,
mm,
we are able to provide a better service, both for
totally.
people who just want a training plan and they just want to, here's the training plan. This is what you're supposed to do, and this is what the
Mm,
best way to train for this goal is for you. And on the other hand, the people who want support and daily feedback and just someone who cares about what you're doing.
mm. Totally. And the truth is that I think everybody maybe will love to have a coach, but not everybody can afford a coach, right? So not everybody is able to pay. Right now, a coach into running costs at least $150 a month, normally. Um, that's like
Many
the
times a
starting
lot
point. I
more.
can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the bottom. It can go up to 1,000. But so not many people can actually afford that. So we are providing this like one third of the price, very great value, high quality service. But at the same time, not everybody can afford $45 a month. And this is where our automated service and great coaching for like a lower price comes into play. And the good thing about it, and a great way is that a great way to provide this accountability and provide this support for that community of runners is well, one, you're going to have access to customer support. So if you have a question, you reach out to us and we will get back to you. It's not going to be your coach, but we're going to provide, customer support and athlete support. That's one thing. But also, you are not going to be alone because there's a strong community, a massive community of people using similar plans and training for the same races. And this community, we know and we see that like motivate each other. So in the Vert app, you have a Vert it's a very community section where people is sharing about their runs and their activities and their races and their podiums and their DNFs and all of that. Not many DNFs because 92% of their customers finish their races. But but yeah, like all of this community is uplifting each other and supporting each other, and that is also very cool. So even if you can't afford a coach or you don't have your coach for whatever reason, which it makes sense, and with this, other service and the fully automated training, you're going to have a whole community supporting you, um, helping you, answering your questions, and you're going to have our team of coaches also answering your questions. Maybe less, fast than your own personal coach will do, but yeah, you're not alone on the journey. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. In independently of what type of service you can afford or you want to have.
Yeah, I think ultimately too, it's always maybe kind of redundant at this point, but like everything that we have built, it's something that it's based on like what we would have like wished to have, maybe 10 years ago or not. It's not like we're like running for the videos or the selfies like we like more just run canyon, you one canyon, we are runners ourselves. It's not like this is not. Of course, it's always a business, right? And we have to make it work and everything. But I think ultimately it's like um, it's the truth that everybody who is involved, except for maybe the development side, that they are not much of a runners. Like
Hey,
everybody
hey, hey,
else,
wait.
except for Kawi. Yeah, Kawi is definitely
Cow
Kawe,
is a
Kawe,
superstar.
Yeah, Kai was a
Yeah,
serious runner, lead backend
yeah.
developer, serious runner. Edu, also front end developer, just ran his first half marathon on the weekend, man, on the
Oh wow.
mountains. So
That's
I
awesome.
need to catch up on that one. I need to
yeah,
see a picture.
you don't talk about my developers like that. They are very athletic, all of them.
But the point being is that we're all in it, right? This is not, yeah, this is not just like, oh, now that trail is trendy now that everybody's plugging into, the live stream of Cocodona. No, we have been at it forever now.
We
Everybody's
are at the
doing this goal.
forefront for sure. Yeah.
We have like 30 plus years of running just here in this goal, right? And all of our coaches have been at it for, 10 plus years. So they have been done everything from, VKs to 100-mile plus. So everything that we have done it's based on literally our experience and hearing hundreds and hundreds of like comments and feedbacks of like, what we have been
Yeah,
offering for the past 5 years.
and not just the experience. We've also started taking coaching classes and staying updated with the knowledge and the science of training. It's very important, and we all do that. So yeah,
And also it's born from the passion of trail running. So and you know, I know that it may seem that the opportunity in trail running is not that big because it's a smaller sport. There are not so many trail runners as road runners. But it's actually not true. Like the opportunity is massive and is growing so fast. And a trail runner is such a committed athlete that like by
I mean,
focusing on it, we're able to provide a very good high-end, high-quality service for our sport where we are expert at. And we do have marathon plans, and we do have most of trail runners also live in the cities and run on the roads. But I think the specialization for us is key on that aspect.
yeah, yeah. Just wanted to mention the 2024 State of the Sport Trail Running Report that was shared a couple of months ago, that we shared internally, I think. Imagine that just in the US, there is 14 million people who run on trails. So the potential is huge.
Hmm.
And I believe those numbers are real. It's just, as I was mentioning, the connection between what we offer and people who is out there running, training, sometimes, making mistakes, which is fine, but, with a little help, the experience sometimes could be so much better.
Yeah, totally.
So we're here
And
to
also,
create
like,
this connection.
that's a great way to put it. We're the bridge between your finishing result and your mistakes. That's a great way to put it. And also, like, there is innovation in trail running. There is a lot. Like, we have brands like, Hoka. Hoka was born from a couple of trail runners. Have you
Yeah,
heard of Hoka, friend?
I've heard about it.
You know,
They actually
are
wanted to
you
solve
familiar?
a very simple problem, like how to run downhill without destroying your legs. So they just built
Yeah,
this like huge shoe with a lot
yeah,
of cushioning and support that people thought they were crazy, but then
yeah,
it actually worked, and Hoka became what Hoka is today. So there is a lot
yeah.
of innovation.
Yeah, 2023 or 2022, they passed $1 billion of revenue in 1 year. A brand born in trail running, and right now we have a lot of innovation. We have Satisfy releasing a trail running shoe, combining fashion and the whole French touch with trail running. We have North Face also releasing the first carbon plate shoe for trail running a few years ago. So there is a lot of innovation, and like a lot of brands are at the forefront of innovation in the sport because there's so many variables and so many things to solve. Cooling,
Exactly.
how to carry fuel, how to carry your gear. What is the lightest, best gear for your race when you need to have a rain jacket and rain pants? How do we make them as small, as light, and as like functional as possible? So there is a lot of innovation, and we're just very proud to be at the forefront of the coaching innovation and how to guide athletes on the space.
And
So
at the end of the
that's pretty
day,
cool.
that's the main variable. Like no matter how light your shoes are or how good your equipment is, the main variable that is gonna, tell you whether you're gonna finish or not a race is how much you've actually trained. So we are actually the thing that matters the most, and we are very proud of that.
Where the
You can
things
have good
matter the
shoes,
most.
but if without good training, you're not gonna finish the race. Basically, this is what I'm saying.
I agree, man. You're not gonna achieve your goal if you're not well prepared. So
Exactly.
now you can. Now you can for 9.99 a month. And no, we're very excited. And also, I just wanted to make sure that we put it out there. You sign up, you give it a try, reach out to us and give us feedback. Because we're gonna continue to improve, and we are already
Totally.
working on the version 2 of this, and the version 3 is on the pipeline. So this is gonna be a few months of a lot of innovation in on site, and we're like really thrilled by it. But we innovate for our customers and our community. So reach out, send us feedback, ideas, and if you wanna collaborate, also reach out. Most I would say that most of our team were previous customers, so that gives you a sign of the passion that our community have for what we're building, but also like that's the best way to find talent. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, yeah. Trail running is changing, man, and we
We're
are
right
very
there.
proud of. We're very proud of being right there, right in the middle. I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else you guys want to add?
I think we cover a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we're excited. Let's just make the most and make the most out of it, and continue to have fun along the journey.
That's what it's all about. Yes, and continue to train and win races along the journey. You know,
So far,
maybe we're gonna see Max doing Cocodona next year. Who knows?
Yeah, if I get to have a week, I guess I will sign up for that one for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a week off next year too.
I'll
Maybe
do the Grand Slab of 200s. I will take a month for it.
a month,
You have to, I guess, a week per race, and therefore.
but they're not there. But I think you need
they're
like at
not
least a
1
week to.
week apart from each other.
Yeah,
No, I mean a month total, not.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe though, maybe if we had recovery though, maybe I probably would need to take a month off. Regardless, yeah.
you need to take like 2 or 3 months
Yeah.
because you're gonna be very tired.
Maybe let's work for that.
All right, the guys
There,
I was
there's this person that was kind of like following me and cheering me at canyons, who is running Cocodona, and I need to check out like how it's doing. It was doing actually very well until yesterday. I think is the last time I checked. So kudos to Dante.
Yeah, let's go, Dante.
Crush Cocodona.
Crusher. Um, awesome. Thank you, Fran, for giving us a space to chat about
Of
Vert and the
course,
product.
always welcome, anytime.
Awesome. All right. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, guys.
Ciao, ciao, guys.